Oh hi. Nazareth, the city in Galilee, in the north of Israel. The sacred Christian city, the third most important after Jerusalem and Bethlehem. Here, according to the Gospel, the Annunciation was made in their past childhood and Jesus Christ's youth. Because of it he was called Nazareth Yanani, or Ha-Natsri, that is, resident Nazareth. Though Nazareth is present at evangelical texts, others, not Bible, mentions of Nazareth in texts of the first centuries are absent. The Hungarian philosopher religious Gustav Getsch writes in the book Bible Stories. It is interesting that except the Gospel and other books of late Christianity, the city of Nazareth isn't mentioned anywhere, though, according to the New Testament, it was in Galilee, which meets in many sources. So Yosef Flavi, describing Judaic war, mentions the cities and the settlements of Galilee, but among them there is no Nazareth. Neither authors of the Old Testament, nor interpreters of the law of Mosaic knew about existence of Nazareth, hold back him as well the Greek and Latin authors. Except for the Christian books based on Annunciations, for the first time it is told about Nazareth in two poems by the Jewish author Kaler Eleazar. 7th or 8th century. However, these verses can't be considered as a source, as it is difficult to establish whether the poet used it as the name, having gathered from ancient lists unknown to us, or borrowed it from Christian literature. Now also earlier non-Christian mention of Nazareth is known. It is an inscription on a marble fragment of a synagogue from Caesarea Palestinian. The inscription is dated ap. 300 AD and tells about appointment of priests which happened after the revolt Bar Kokhba. After a while, Nazareth is mentioned as the house of priestly family Hafizas. The mention of Nazareth can be found in Church History of Avsevia Kesariski. The 3-4 centuries. Who quotes Sextus Julius Africanus? 160. 240. Only the few, keeping the memory of the sort, preserved the private family trees, or having remembered names of ancestors, or having their lists. They were proud of the fact that they kept the memory of the nobility. Among them there were also above-mentioned Despacina. They are called so because of their relationship with Christ Redeemer's family. Natives of Judaic settlements, Nazareth and Kahabi, they dispersed on other edge and made the mentioned family tree on the basis of the Book of Days as good. Thus, the author speaks about Nazareth as about the settlement in Judea, and has him in the text near still not identified settlement under the name Kohab. Gustav Getsch, on the basis of lack of a mention of Nazareth in the above stated texts, assumed two options: that the city of Nazareth never existed, or was so small that didn't receive a mention, though in Talmudical literature all settlements where schools or synagogues worked are listed. James Strange, the American archaeologist and the supporter of the second version, in this regard notices: Nazareth isn't mentioned in ancient Jewish sources before the 3rd century AD. Possibly it demonstrates lack of his popularity both in Galilee and in Judea. Originally Strange assumed that the population of Nazareth at the time of Christ was from about 1600 to 2000 people, but later in the subsequent publication he specified a smaller value. At most about 480. According to the Central Statistical Bureau of Israel, the population for the beginning of 2020 made 77445 people. In modern Nazareth there is a grotto of the Annunciation over which the largest Catholic Basilica of the Annunciation in the Middle East. 1969. Picturesque Orthodox Church of Angel Gabriel over Virgin Mary's source and also other Christian churches is constructed. Near Nazareth, in 2 kilometers to the south from the Annunciation Basilica, there is a mountain of overthrow. With which, according to the Catholic legend, residents of Nazareth wanted to overthrow Jesus after his sermon in the Nazareth synagogue, then he forever left the city. Sometimes the mountain is called the Mountain of Jump, the direct translation from Hebrew. According to the Orthodox legend, the place of this event is on the neighboring mountain. In the neighborhood of Nazareth National Park Sepphoris. The ancient Judaic city of Sippori, parental house of Virgin Mary, the remains of fortress of Crusaders and other archaeological sites. To the west from the city, the mountain of Favor. The place of Lord's transformation. The village of Nain, Kieffer to the east of Nazareth, where Christ created the first miracle, are located, having turned water into wine at a wedding. Historical. That is Nizhny Novgorod. Nazareth is inhabited by the Israeli Arabs, of whom about 31% are made by Christian Arabs of different religions, and about 69% Muslims. Therefore Nazareth is the most Christian city of Israel and also the only city in the country where Sunday is the day off. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.